Sophia, I need your help. I think I'm about to get reported to HR.
Oh no. What happened?
I was running a team meeting yesterday and I said, "Great job, you guys!" And someone on my team looked really uncomfortable. Later, someone from HR pulled me aside and said I should use more inclusive language.
Yeah. You guys has become a sensitive topic.
But I've been saying that my whole career. You're studying business communication, right? Help me understand what I'm doing wrong here. Why is this suddenly a problem?
It's not sudden to my generation, Dad. But let me explain why Gen Z sees differently than you do. Welcome to Dad and Sophia Talk. I'm Sophia. I just graduated with my master's degree in business communication, and I was born and raised here in the United States.
And I'm David. I'm an IT manager and Sophia's dad. I came to the United States from Korea in the 1990s for college, and I've been living and working here ever since.
This podcast is for upper intermediate English learners around B2 to C1 level. If you can understand most of what we're saying, but still want to improve your fluency, learn natural expressions, and avoid common mistakes, you're in the right place. Today we're talking about something that's been causing a lot of confusion at work. What's considered appropriate language these days, and what isn't.
I feel like the rules keep changing. Things the first used to say casually are now suddenly offensive. I don't know what I'm allowed to say anymore.
That's exactly what we need to unpack. Some of these new rules aren't actually new. They're old laws that people are finally enforcing. But some things really are different with Gen Z.
Like what? Give me an example. Because all these new rules make me confusing.
Confuse me, Dad. Not make me confusing. The rules confuse you. You're not confusing.
Right. The rules confuse me.
We'll break down 3 big areas. First, gendered language. Things like you guys, pronouns, and job titles. Then we'll talk about workplace expectations that Gen Z actually enforces, like work-life boundaries. And finally, communication styles, why we prefer Slack over email, and what's really Gen Z versus what's just old workplace law.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's figure out what I can and can't say.
Part 1.
Okay, so I'm starting to understand the language stuff. But there's something else that's driving me crazy about your generation at work.
Uh-oh, what did we do now?
Last month, I sent a Slack message to one of my younger team members at 7 p.m. Just a quick question, nothing urgent. The next morning, he came to my office and said, "I don't check work messages after 5 p.m.
Oh, Dad? Yeah, that sounds like us.
But I wasn't demanding he answer. I was just sending it when I thought of it. He could have answered the next day.
I know you weren't demanding anything, but here's the thing. When we see that notification pop up at 7 p.m., we feel like we have to check it. Even if you didn't mean it that way, it stresses us out.
But I grew up with always-on culture. We checked emails at night, on weekends. That was normal.
And look what happened to you guys. Dad, remember when Uncle Mike had that breakdown? Or when your colleague Sarah quit suddenly because she was so burnt out? We watched that happen to our parents' generation.
That's fair, actually. So what, you guys just leave at 5 p.m., even if there's stuff to do?
If something's genuinely on fire, of course I'll stay. But busy work that can wait till tomorrow? Yeah, I'm leaving, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
It feels like you don't care about your job.
We do care. We just refuse to let work eat our whole lives. Look, all my friends prioritize this. It's not laziness. It's self-preservation. We saw what happened when you guys didn't have boundaries.
I never thought about it that way.
Plus, Dad, be honest. How many times did you stay late doing work that could have waited just because you felt like you should?
A lot, actually.
Exactly. So we're just being smarter about it. Would you rather we fake being available 24/7 and then secretly resent you?
No, I guess I wouldn't.
That's another thing. We're terrible at faking stuff. Like, sometimes you'll say something in a meeting to lighten the mood, and we just stare at you.
Yes, what is that? It's so uncomfortable.
We call it the Gen Z stare. It's basically us refusing to fake laugh at something that's not funny.
But that makes everything so awkward.
For you, maybe. But why should we pretend to find something funny when we don't? Isn't that kind of dishonest?
I mean, I guess, but it kept things pleasant. We laughed to be polite.
And we watched you guys do that and thought that looks exhausting. Dad, you can tell when someone's faking a laugh, right?
Yeah, of course.
So why is fake laughter better than just silence? At least silence is honest.
Okay, I actually see your point, but it's still weird for me.
I get it. It's a big adjustment. Hey, here's something else. You've probably noticed we talk about mental health really openly, right?
Yeah, people will just say, I'm taking a mental health day, or I'm anxious about this project. In my day, you didn't talk about that stuff at work.
How'd that work out?
Not great. I've seen colleagues have breakdowns. People quit without warning. My friend Tom struggled with depression for years and nobody knew.
See? Pretending mental health doesn't exist doesn't make it go away. It just makes it worse. Dad, if I tell you I'm anxious about a deadline, that's just me being honest about my capacity. How's that different from saying I have a cold?
When you put it like that, it's not.
Right? We're just whole people. We're not going to split ourselves into work me and real me. That's exhausting.
Okay, I can understand that. But here's what I don't get. When I give feedback, younger employees seem so sensitive. Like, I'll point something out and they get upset.
How are you giving the feedback?
Straightforward. This report has errors. Fix it.
Ooh, yeah. That's going to land badly.
Why? It's clear.
It's blunt without context. Dad, we grew up Googling everything. We're used to understanding the why. When you just say this is wrong without explaining, it feels dismissive.
But I don't have time to explain every little thing.
You don't need a lecture. Just add a sentence, like, this report has some data errors that might confuse the client. Can you double check section 3? See? Same message, but now I know why it matters.
That's more words.
But it's way more effective. Plus, we actually like getting feedback. We just want it regularly, not once a year at review time.
How often is regularly?
Not formal stuff, just quick check-ins. Hey, that went well, or let's talk about how to improve this next time. Keeps us on track instead of wondering if we're doing okay for 11 months.
So more feedback. Delivered more carefully?
Yeah, and heads up, we'll give you feedback too, whether you want it or not.
I've noticed. Someone who's been here 3 months will suggest changing something we've done for 10 years.
Dad, we grew up watching Mark Zuckerberg build Facebook in his dorm room. People our age became billionaires by questioning how things were done. So yeah, we're gonna speak up.
But experience matters.
Of course it does. That's exactly what I'm saying. We want to learn from your experience. That's why we're asking. But because I said so doesn't teach us anything.
So what should I say instead?
Just share what you learned. Like, I tried that approach in 2015 and here's what happened. Then we get it. We're not trying to disrespect you. We just want to understand the reasoning.
Okay, I can do that. And Dad? The stuff we're asking for, boundaries, authenticity, regular feedback, explaining decisions. That's not unreasonable. It's just different from what you're used to. True. And if I don't adjust?
We'll leave. My friends job hop all the time. If we don't feel valued, we just find somewhere else.
No company loyalty?
Not blind loyalty. Dad, we watched your friends give 30 years to companies that laid them off without a second thought. We're not making that mistake.
That's actually pretty smart.
We think so. Look, the core message is simple. Treat us like whole humans with boundaries, not just workers. Value honesty over politeness. Explain your decisions instead of just asserting authority. That's really it.
When you simplify it like that, it doesn't sound so hard.
It's not. It's just different. And different always feels hard at first. But you'll get it, Dad. I believe in you.
Thanks, kiddo. All right, I bet there are still specific situations where I'm gonna mess up.
Oh, definitely. Let's talk about those next.
Part 2. All right, let's talk about email, because this drives me nuts.
Oh no, what'd we do?
I'll send a detailed email with a clear question, and I get back K or a thumbs up emoji. That's it. That's not professional.
But did you get your answer?
Well, yeah, but...
Then what's the problem? Dad, look at my email right now. I have like 1,000 unread emails. I'm not ignoring you out of disrespect. I just don't check it that often.
1,000? How do you function?
I check Slack. That's where the real conversations happen. Email feels slow and formal. For quick stuff, just Slack us.
So, I should just accept one-word responses and emojis?
Yeah. Our casual tone doesn't mean we don't care. Like, someone sent you a message that said, "Yeet this over when you're done," lol, right?
Yes. What does that even mean?
It means send it to them when you're finished. The emoji and lol are just how we talk. It's friendly. We use that stuff to show tone because text only can seem really cold.
But see, that's my point. I had to ask what it meant. If they just said, "Please send the file when it's ready," there's no confusion.
Okay, that's fair. Sometimes we assume everyone speaks the same slang. But Dad, the flip side is your emails can feel really stiff. Like you're angry when you're not.
I'm just being clear and professional.
I know. But per my last email sounds passive-aggressive to us. And when you don't use any emojis or casual language, it reads as cold. We're not sure if you're annoyed or just busy.
So there's a middle ground?
Yeah, we could be clear when the stakes are high, and you could be warmer when they're not. Both sides need to adjust a little.
All right, different question. I've had younger employees bring up salary in team meetings. Like, why don't we know what everyone makes? That seems really inappropriate.
Why is it inappropriate?
Because salary is private, between you and the company.
Dad, it's actually legal to discuss salary. Companies want you to think it's taboo, but it's protected by law.
But some people don't want to share that information. Not everyone's comfortable broadcasting what they make.
You're right, and nobody has to share if they don't want to. But the option should be there. My friend found out her male colleague made way more for the exact same role. If people hadn't talked, she'd never have known.
But salary depends on experience, skills.
And bias. Women and minorities get paid less all the time. When salary is secret, companies can get away with that. Look, I get that you value privacy, but sometimes transparency is more important, especially when it exposes unfairness.
So it's about having the choice to discuss it, not forcing everyone to share?
Exactly. We're not saying everyone has to announce their salary. We're saying it shouldn't be forbidden. There's a difference.
This makes me really uncomfortable.
I get it. You were taught this is taboo. But Dad, wouldn't you want to know if you were being underpaid? We're just trying to make sure we're treated equitably.
When you put it that way, yeah, I guess I would.
That's the thing about our generation. We want to understand why decisions get made. Like, who got promoted? Why that person? What's the long-term plan? We expect answers.
But some things are confidential.
Of course, we get that. But if you can't explain why a decision was made, even in general terms, we assume something shady is happening.
Even when nothing shady is happening.
Yep. When there's no explanation, we assume the worst.
So I need to explain more?
Where you can, yeah. Obviously, there are legal reasons some stuff stays private. But for normal decisions, why someone got promoted, why we're changing a process, just share the reasoning. That's all we want.
You know, when I was junior, I just did what I was told without asking questions.
How'd that feel?
Frustrating, honestly. I'd wonder why we did things certain ways, but I didn't feel like I could ask.
So we're just doing what you wished you could have done. We're asking the questions you were too scared to ask. Is that really so bad?
No, it's not bad. It's just different.
Hey Dad, can I ask you something? How much of what you think is Gen Z being difficult is actually just old workplace rules that your generation ignored?
I mean, I know HR has always had rules, but some of the stuff Gen Z complains about feels new.
Like what?
Like not being able to ask someone if they're married or how old they are, that stuff.
Dad, you can't ask those questions in interviews. That's been the law since like the 60s, way before you even moved to the US.
I know it's technically not allowed, but I always thought those were more like guidelines. Nobody really cared.
Guidelines? Dad, they're federal laws. Your generation just didn't get in trouble for breaking them because nobody reported anything.
Okay, but what about sexual harassment stuff? All these rules about what you can and can't say.
That's been against the law since the 80s. It was a huge deal in the 90s. The Anita Hill thing? You were already here for that.
But people still joked around back then.
Yeah, and people got harassed and just dealt with it silently. Now we actually speak up. That's the only difference.
So what is actually new from Gen Z?
Pronouns and gender-neutral language. That's us. Talking openly about mental health instead of hiding it. That's us. Actually enforcing work-life boundaries instead of just complaining privately. That's us. Wanting real transparency instead of corporate BS. Also us.
And preferring Slack over email?
Yeah, that too. But Dad, age discrimination? That's been illegal since before you were born. We didn't invent that rule. We just actually report it when people violate it.
So you're saying my generation knew the rules but just didn't follow them?
You followed them when it was convenient. But when it wasn't, you figured nobody would say anything. And you were usually right.
But there's also context, right? Like, if I make a joke with someone I've worked with for 10 years versus someone I just met, that matters. Intent should count for something.
You're right. That intent matters. And yeah, a close friend might laugh at something that would make a stranger uncomfortable. But Dad, here's the thing. The person on the receiving end gets to decide if they're uncomfortable, not you. And your generation expected people to just deal with it.
So where's the line?
When someone says that made me uncomfortable, you stop. No defending your intent. No, I was just joking. You just apologize and don't do it again. Your generation's mistake was thinking your intent mattered more than the other person's experience.
And now we're confused because there are actual consequences.
Exactly.
That's a harsh way to put it, but okay.
Sorry, Dad, but it's true.
What about calling people out publicly when they mess up? That seems very Gen Z.
Yeah. That's a social media thing that leaked into workplaces. Most of us don't actually like that.
Really?
Yeah. Like, we want accountability. If someone says something offensive, we'll address it. But publicly humiliating someone? That's not helpful. That just makes everyone defensive.
So even Gen Z thinks that's too much?
Most of us, yeah. There's a difference between holding someone accountable and being mean. We want the first one.
That's really good to know. Last question. What do I do when I genuinely don't know if something's appropriate?
Just ask, Dad. Seriously. Hey, I want to be respectful. Is it okay if I ask about this? We'll appreciate that you checked rather than just assuming.
Even if the answer is no?
Especially if the answer is no. It shows you care. That matters way more than knowing every rule in advance.
And if I mess up?
Quick sorry. Move on. Don't make a big thing of it. My bad, and that's it. Don't make us comfort you about your mistake. Just acknowledge it and do better.
No explaining my intentions?
Nope. We know you meant well. You don't need to defend yourself. Just fix it and move forward.
Okay. I think I got it. Ask when unsure. Apologize quickly. And remember, you're not trying to be difficult. You're just enforcing boundaries that should have been enforced all along.
And we could be clearer sometimes, instead of assuming everyone knows what we mean. It goes both ways, Dad.
Deal. And if I mess up, call me.
Always.
Grammar focus 1.
All right, Dad. Before we move to our cultural insight section, let's review all the grammar mistakes you made today. I caught quite a few.
Of course you did. Lay it on me.
Don't worry, these are all really common for upper intermediate learners. Let's start with the one from our intro. You said, how do you think about these new rules?
And it should be, what do you think, right?
Exactly. This is a mistake I hear all the time from non-native speakers. When you're asking for someone's opinion, you use what, not how.
Why is that?
Because think is about forming an opinion or belief. What do you think about this policy? What's your opinion on remote work? These are asking about the content of your thoughts.
And how would be wrong?
How do you think isn't standard English when asking for an opinion? You can use how if you're asking about a process or method. Like, how do you think through difficult decisions? That's asking about the method, not the opinion.
So what for opinions? How for processes?
Right. And this is a really important distinction between adjectives and verbs that a lot of learners struggle with.
What's the difference?
When you say this makes me confusing, you're saying that you become confusing to other people, like you're the one creating confusion for others.
But I meant that I'm confused.
Exactly. The correct way is this confuses me or I'm confused. The adjective confused describes your state. You're the one who doesn't understand. The adjective confusing describes something that causes confusion. Like this rule is confusing.
So confused is how I feel, and confusing is what something is.
Perfect. Same pattern works for other emotion verbs. This bores me means I'm bored. This is boring means it causes boredom. If I say I'm boring, I'm saying other people find me boring.
Oh, so I'm interested means I have interest, but I'm interesting means other people find me interesting?
Exactly. The movie interested me equals I'm interested. The movie is interesting equals it causes interest. I'm interesting equals other people are interested in me.
This is really helpful. So the ED form is about your feeling, and the ING form is about what causes the feeling.
You got it. Confused, confusing, bored, boring, interested, interesting, excited, exciting, frustrated, frustrating. Same pattern for all of them.
What else did I mess up?
You said, I've been working here since 30 years.
Oh, right. For 30 years. You corrected that one in the moment.
Yep. This is probably the most common mistake I hear from non-native speakers. Since and for are both used with present perfect tense, but they're not interchangeable.
What's the rule?
Since is for a specific point in time when something started. For is for a duration of time.
Give me examples.
I've lived here since 2010. That's a specific starting point. I've lived here for 15 years. That's a duration. I've known her since college. A starting point. I've known her for decades. Duration.
So since needs a time marker, like a year or an event.
Exactly. Since Monday. Since last year. Since I graduated. Since the pandemic started. These all point to when something began.
And for is always a length of time.
Right. For 3 days. For several months. For ages. For a while. It tells you how long, not when it started.
Can I use both in the same sentence?
Absolutely. I've been working here since 1995, so that's 30 years now. Or I've worked here for 30 years, starting back in 1995.
Got it. What's next?
You said, it depends from the context.
And it should be depends on. That's another one you caught right away.
Yes, depend always takes on, never from. This is a fixed collocation in English.
What's a collocation?
It's when certain words always go together. Like, make a decision, not do a decision, or heavy rain, not strong rain. These are just patterns you have to learn.
So depend on is one of those fixed patterns.
Exactly. It depends on the weather. That depends on your budget. Success depends on effort. Always on.
Can I ever use from with depend?
Not really. You might be thinking of other verbs like differ from or result from, but depend always takes on.
English is so inconsistent.
I know, Dad. Prepositions are tough, but the good news is, once you learn the common collocations, they become automatic.
What was the last one?
You said, everyone was laughing to my joke.
Dad, right, laughing at my joke. I remember that one.
Yeah, this is another fixed expression. We laugh at jokes, not to jokes.
Why at?
It's just the way English works. At indicates the target or object of the laughter. We laughed at the movie. She's laughing at your story. Don't laugh at me.
What about laugh with?
That's different. Laugh with means you're laughing together with someone. We were all laughing with each other. It shows shared enjoyment. Laugh at focuses on what's funny.
Can you say laugh about?
Yes, when you're talking about a topic or situation. We were laughing about what happened yesterday. They're always laughing about their childhood memories. But for jokes specifically, it's laugh at.
Okay, so at for jokes and funny things, with for people you're laughing together with, and about for topics.
Exactly. You've got it.
Let me practice all of these. What do you think about the new changes?
Perfect.
I'm confused about the policy, but I'm confused by the way it was explained.
Excellent. You're using both correctly there.
I've been working in it for 25 years, since I graduated college in 2000.
Great.
Success depends on effort and timing.
Wonderful.
Everyone was laughing at my joke, and we were all laughing together about the situation.
Perfect. You nailed all of them.
So these are the kinds of mistakes that even advanced learners make?
Absolutely. These are subtle errors that show you're at a high level. You're not making basic grammar mistakes. You're dealing with the fine details of prepositions and collocations.
That's somewhat reassuring.
It should be. For our listeners, if these are the types of errors you're making, you're doing really well. These are the polish on already strong English. They won't prevent people from understanding you, but fixing them will make you sound more natural and fluent.
All right, I feel better about my English now. What's next?
Now let's talk about some key cultural insights from today's conversation. Because while grammar is important, understanding American workplace culture is just as crucial for communicating effectively. Final reflection.
Okay, I learned a lot today. But I want to understand something bigger. Why does your generation care so much about the specific words people use?
Good question. I think to answer it, we need to talk about what shaped our generations differently. When you were starting your career, what were you taught about workplace communication?
Focus on building relationships and maintaining harmony. If someone in authority had a different approach, you'd find a diplomatic way to suggest alternatives. Getting results mattered more than being right in the moment.
That sounds strategic.
It was. GenX entered workplaces where boomers held all the senior positions. So we learned to be strategic about when to push back and when to let things go. You assessed each situation. Is this worth spending political capital on? Will challenging this actually change anything, or just label me as difficult?
So you were calculating cost versus benefit?
Exactly. It wasn't about being passive. It was about being smart with your influence. You save your credibility for the battles that actually matter. If your boss tells a bad joke, you give a polite smile and move on. That's not worth using your political capital. But if there's a strategic decision that's genuinely wrong, that's when you speak up, carefully and diplomatically.
That's really helpful context, because that's the exact opposite of what Gen Z was taught.
How so?
We grew up being told our voices matter, that speaking up about problems is necessary. We saw Me Too show that calling out harassment creates change. We watched activists our age address the UN. If you see something wrong and stay silent, you're part of the problem.
Interesting. Your generation sees silence as complicity, not professionalism.
Exactly. Not just good, required. And that especially applies to language. We were taught that words have power. That language shapes reality. Calling someone fireman reinforces the idea only men can do that job.
But to my generation, that feels like making a big deal out of nothing.
Because you were taught language doesn't matter as much as being polite, right?
Exactly. As long as you weren't openly rude, the specific words didn't matter.
We believe the opposite. That if you keep saying guys to mean everyone, you're making women invisible. So when I correct you guys to everyone, it's not about the word.
It's about the values. I believe politeness matters more than precision. You believe inclusive language matters more than comfort.
Exactly. And neither is wrong, just different priorities shaped by different experiences.
That's what international listeners need to understand, right? American workplace culture is caught between these two generations.
Yes, your Gen X manager might value not making waves. Your Gen Z coworkers expect you to speak up. You're navigating two different cultures at once.
So what should they do?
Watch age and adapt. Older colleagues appreciate indirectness. I have a concern, not, this is wrong. Younger colleagues expect directness. I disagree because not. Maybe we could consider.
Read the room based on generation.
Exactly. But here's what you taught me today, Dad. Your generation wasn't passive or scared. You were working in a system where questioning authority had real consequences.
And your generation has seen people lose jobs for not speaking up. for staying silent about harassment or discrimination. The consequences flipped.
So neither generation is unreasonable. We're both responding to what keeps us safe at work. And for international listeners, this matters because PC language, pronouns, inclusive communication, these are Gen Z American values. Gen X Americans might not care as much.
So there's no single American workplace culture.
Right. Tech startup in California with young people, very Gen Z. Expect pronouns, expect language corrections, expect direct feedback. Law firm in New York with older partners, more Gen X. Formal, hierarchical, less focus on precise language.
So the big cultural insight here is what?
American workplace communication is in a generational shift. Gen X values harmony and politeness. Gen Z values authenticity and inclusive language. Neither is right or wrong. They're shaped by different experiences.
And if you're working in the US, understand both.
Watch the age of your colleagues. Match their communication style. The language stuff, pronouns, gender terms, that's Gen Z pushing culture forward. You'll see more with younger Americans, less with older ones.
That makes everything from today make sense. It's not random rules. It's a whole different philosophy.
Gen X says, keep the peace, don't make people uncomfortable. Gen Z says, address problems, include everyone even if it's uncomfortable.
And we're both learning to understand each other.
Exactly.
Wrap up.
So, Dad, how are you feeling about all of this now?
Honestly, much better than when we started. When we began this conversation, I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells at work. Now I realize it's not that complicated.
What's the biggest takeaway for you?
That it's not about memorizing a list of banned words or topics. It's about being thoughtful. Thinking about power dynamics, focusing on situations instead of people, and being willing to apologize when I mess up.
That's exactly it. You're going to make mistakes, Dad. Everyone does. The key is showing you're trying.
And you know what? I think a lot of these changes are actually good. Like, I don't think anyone should feel uncomfortable at work just because they don't want to answer personal questions or fake laugh at their boss's jokes.
I'm glad you see it that way.
I mean, I still think some people are too sensitive sometimes. But I also get that what felt normal to me might have been uncomfortable for others. They just didn't feel safe saying anything.
And that's growth, Dad. You're understanding the other perspective.
For our listeners out there who are feeling as confused as I was, here's what I'd say. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're not sure if something is appropriate, ask someone you trust. Or just err on the side of caution.
Great advice. And I'd add, pay attention to how younger colleagues communicate. Watch how they give feedback, how they set boundaries, how they apologize when they mess up. You can learn a lot just by observing.
And don't take it personally if someone corrects you. They're helping you, not attacking you.
Exactly. Most people, especially Gen Z, appreciate when someone's making an effort to learn. We don't expect perfection. We just want to see that you're trying.
All right, I think I'm ready to go back to work and try out some of these new approaches.
You're going to do great, Dad. And you know what? Your team is lucky to have a manager who's willing to learn and adapt.
Thanks, Sophia. This has been really helpful. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on Dad and Sophia Talk. We hope this conversation has helped you navigate the sometimes confusing world of workplace communication in English.
Remember, language is always evolving, and so are cultural norms. What matters is staying curious, being respectful, and showing that you care about making others feel comfortable.
If you found this episode helpful, let us know. We'd love to hear about your experiences navigating workplace communication across generations and cultures.
See you next time.
Take care, everyone.